This video comes to you in one extraordinarily passionate part. Me expressing my feelings about feminism and patriarchy and the general inequalities that exist in society today is related to gender. There's a lot of feelings. So a couple of weeks ago, there's an email sent out to all of the politics majors asking if anyone wanted to do like a forum about women's issues. So it was just going to be open to women politics majors, and then the women faculty were going to come and talk about like issues relating to women as we move into the workforce, as we graduate, and different things that are relevant to us and that are going to be really important for us to know. I experienced a lot of feelings and emotions during and after this dinner, and so I wanted to be able to sort of condense them and put them somewhere and synthesize them a little bit, and then also talk about possible solutions. So that's sort of what this video is. It becomes really problematic when you realize that, like, fundamentally, women are taught not to assert themselves. So there's no one out there advocating for stronger rights for women because it's something we're taught that we're not allowed to do. Women inherently have to overcome this additional barrier to get engaged and to advocate for themselves that men just don't have. Julie and I have this like long-standing joke about how I'm constantly like, oh, there's an example of patriarchy. Oh, look, patriarchy's rearing its ugly head again. And I just feel like I feel so silly for just continuing to like repeat all these problems and, oh look, there's patriarchy again, you know, just I sound like a broken record pointing out these instances. But it's really important that we do engage in these conversations and say, you know, there's patriarchy and here is how I'm going to try to write it. On one hand, I feel guilty for constantly pointing out these moments when there is clear gender inequality. But on the other hand, I know that the reason I feel guilty about that is because of this socialized pressure on me that as a woman, I'm not allowed to have an opinion. I'm not as valuable as men. If you're a woman, next time you get on an airplane, think about what happens when you have a man sitting next to you on that plane. I know personally that when I sit down and there's a guy sitting next to me, all of a sudden, I feel a huge amount of pressure to shrink as small as I can and give him my armrest. That is not okay. I need that armrest to read my Kindle. I like to sit back, recline, and have that space. It doesn't just happen on airplanes though, it happens everywhere. We shouldn't feel obligated to be smaller than we are. We shouldn't feel just because I'm 5'3" that I only deserve 3/4 of my airplane seat. That just isn't the case. There was a woman who came to campus about a year ago and told us about this study where a man and a woman had a conversation, and afterwards they were asked about each person's contribution to that conversation. Both the women and the men, in 90% of the cases, thought that the woman had talked more than the man had, even when she had talked 50% or less of the time. So women are socialized to believe that we're taking up too much space and that we aren't deserving of having an equal voice in any conversation. Okay, I realize that it's a really dangerous thing to like have this really strong opinion and post it on the internet, because I can only imagine that if this ended up on the radar of like Rush Limbaugh, for example, if he came across this video, like I would be torn apart, and I understand that. But the fact that I would be torn apart just further points to the fundamental problems in society, these patriarchal problems that women are told and are expected and are socialized to not be allowed to voice the concerns that I'm voicing right now. Okay, so I've attempted sort of to outline some of these problems, but I think it's also important to consider like some of the ways that we can work to address them. And so these are like very specific things that I think each of us can try to do to maybe work to like fix this inequality. One of the problems that we talked a lot about at dinner, because we are in college, is that typically in classes, men speak more than women. And again, that goes back to that socialized idea that women feel subservient and are more likely to like cede their time to men and value the opinions of men more than the opinions of themselves, right? So one possible solution to this is if you're in a classroom and you see someone, you know, for us, because we were all senior politics women, we were talking about like first years and sophomores, if we see one of them who, probably a woman, who seems to have very valid points but isn't confident enough to speak out in class, to go up to them after class and say, hey, I noticed today that you had a really valid point, and I just want to thank you for pointing it out, and I really hope that you'll continue to contribute in class in the future. Or even like if you're sitting in a group setting, in a discussion setting, and you see a woman, and you can tell from her body language that she really like has something to say, but she just, you know, does this, she's very hesitant and isn't completely engaging in the conversation because someone else ends up talking before she has a chance. Maybe take that moment to say, you know what, Susan over there, it looks like she has something to say. Susan, like, would you like to contribute? And take that step and acknowledge her contribution and sort of like help her step forward. Another really important opportunity for us to be engaged is to get involved in like leadership positions. Women represent only 20% of student government at my school. And so just, saying I'm a woman, there's a lack of women, I'm gonna run for this, and demonstrating that confidence is really important. Confidence is something else that's really key here. Women, own your thoughts. Feel proud of your opinions. Be confident in what you have to say. Step up, speak out, and be firm. If that is your opinion, don't preface it by saying, maybe I think this way. Be strong. I know that this is a problem. Voice your opinions and know that they're valid, and know that men never have to question whether their opinions are valid. So you shouldn't either. Okay, so in conclusion, I realize that I sound like this really soapboxy person, and that I'm just all over the place, and that I've had all these really intense feelings and issues that I've just thrown into this video, and it's not like any of my other videos, and I realize that that's probably really confusing for you, and I apologize, and next week I'll be back to my normal humorous self talking about, how I've recently taken up running, but tonight is all about these feelings that I have about this problematic way that society addresses gender. I know that I sound crazy, but I believe that this cause is something worthy to sound crazy about. I'm sure tomorrow I'll look at this video and realize I was all over the place and there were 5 or 6 or 10 different points that I wish I had made, and 3 and 4 or 8 different points that I wish I had articulated more successfully. But I just feel so passionate tonight that I wanted to make sure that I tried, even if it wasn't successful, to get a diverse range of issues across tonight. And hopefully some of them will have made it through to you, and they'll have hit a note, they'll resonate with you, and you'll be willing to work to try to fix this fundamentally problematic inequality that exists today. So for lack of a better ending, the end, I'll see some of you in real life, but because I can't see all of you in real life, hopefully we can continue this conversation in the comments. I think this is an extraordinarily complex idea and something that clearly cannot be conveyed in 4 minutes on YouTube. And since I know that everyone who watches this isn't in the same area, it's impossible to sit down and have one of these amazing dinner forums that I had tonight. So I would love for us to be able to continue to talk about it somewhere, and that's going to be a virtual space. That's going to be in the comments of this video. I realize I sound like a crazy, bra-burning feminist, but I'm okay with that.